Wholesaling. What is wholesaling? Gosh, we don't talk about that much in creative finance. And I'll tell you, I haven't been much of a wholesaling fan until recently. Jody and I just did our largest wholesale deal ever. So we're pretty sold on it right now. So we decided to have somebody on today to talk about it a little bit more. Now, normally we talk about creative stuff, but today it's going to be wholesaling on the Sub2Deals Show. Hey, Sub2ers, welcome to this episode of the Sub2Deals Show, where we talk about all things subject to. Occasionally, we'll talk about other real estate investing topics, but it's always something to help you with your real estate investing. Of course, we're out there on all of the podcast mediums, and if you're listening today, we'll ask you to check us out at our YouTube channel. We release new videos just about every day there. Something to help you with your real estate investing business, Sub2, creative finance, owner finance, all that stuff. But you can check us out at sub2tv.com. And if you want to learn more about creative real estate investing, we have the absolute best products that you'll find on the planet at sub2university.com. If you decide you want a little bit of coaching, and I guarantee you we have the best price you'll ever find on it at $7coaching.com. $7 a month. I'll answer all your questions personally every month. You won't find a better deal on that anywhere. If you do, let me know, because I need to join that group wherever it's at. So today we're talking about wholesaling. You know, I've never been a huge fan of wholesaling. I've done a few deals in my investing career, but most of it's been pretty accidental. I would find a house that I wasn't really particularly wanting to keep, and I would sell it to someone else and make a few $1,000. Wasn't anything very big. But recently, Jody and I did our biggest wholesale deal ever. Made over $70,000 flipping a house. I couldn't believe it. And so I'm a little bit more interested now than I used to be. So we brought on a wholesaling expert today, Mr. Donny Coram. He's a foreclosure deals coach, specializes in helping people transition into full-time real estate investing. So we're going to bring him on today. Hey, Donny, how you doing?
I'm well, sir. How are you? Thanks so much for having me on the show.
We're doing fantastic here. Finer than frog hair, I always like to say.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, right. So listen, tell everybody about you and what you do and about foreclosure investing, how all that stuff works.
Yeah. So basically, William, I help people to find, figure, fund, fix, and flip their first foreclosure deal. You mentioned today's topic is about wholesaling. So a big part of how people get started in foreclosure investing is they get a foreclosure deal and they wholesale it out to an investor. I work with a lot of wholesalers. I wholesale deals myself. But generally speaking, I like you mentioned, I want to help people transition out of whatever the income they're doing. I have a lot of agents as clients, people who are not kind of happy where they're at, who are looking to transition to investing, either by flipping a foreclosure deal or wholesaling a foreclosure deal.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you work primarily with foreclosure deals. That's what you do?
That sort of became my niche. When I got started way back in the spooky days of 2008, and we were surrounded by foreclosures in every corner, I kind of created a niche. I had a Facebook channel called Colorado Springs Foreclosure Deals, and I would go do live videos of foreclosure listings here in town and share them out to my population. And then I began wholesaling them out to investors who wanted to buy those properties and flip them into deals. From there, I transitioned to doing my own fix and flips. My claim to fame is I did 47 fix and flips in 2021. My best year financially and my worst year personally. Not sure I want to do that ever again.
Right.
I sure learned a lot. And now I'm coaching a bunch of people on how to get started doing their first and fix and flip and or wholesale deal.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you've spent most of your investing career doing wholesale type transactions. Is that right?
Yeah, either on the buy side or wholesaling them back out. But the majority of my deals, when I did that 47, came from a wholesale a channel that I created. I call it my deal flow accelerator. But basically, I'm connecting with wholesalers and doing on-market and off-market strategies to find a consistent flow of foreclosure deals to fix and flip, as well as wholesale off.
Right. When you talk about foreclosure deals, are you talking about people in the foreclosure process, or are you talking about after the foreclosure process?
So I've done both, but my focus generally has been after the foreclosure process, working with the banks directly, with the listings that are coming onto the market right now that people are looking to acquire from banks. We call them REO listings, and how to source those as a good source of doing consistent fix and flip deals.
Right. So are you finding that right now, after the foreclosure moratorium, there aren't as many REOs out there as there were before?
100%. We are definitely not seeing the volume we saw back in 2008, but good news, we're starting to see that pick up quite a bit. You know, with the interest rate increase, a lot of people who are hoping to sell in the retail market or maybe overpaid during the height of the 2019 through 2020 market are now facing a crisis, you know? So I think now is a good time to be evaluating foreclosure investing, because so many of them are starting to appear on the market right now.
Right. So, you know, it's funny, both of us consider ourselves, I guess, foreclosure investors. We primarily deal with people in the pre-foreclosure stages.
Right.
We're looking to acquire stuff that we can reinstate and keep. We talked to a gentleman today, as a matter of fact, and this guy refinanced in April of last year. So he's got a house with a 2.9% interest rate mortgage.
Jeez.
I know. See, those are amazing.
That's nice.
Yeah,
it's real nice. Yeah, and I don't want to shortchange the pre-foreclosure side. A lot of my clients are working that angle right now. It's just the volume has not been there to have a sustainable business on either side of the foreclosure radar. Now is the time to really start learning about that, understanding the pre-foreclosure process, how to have those conversations with people in notice of default. You know, if you can salvage those loans before they foreclose, way better than getting them afterwards. But my coaching really focuses on both sides, just to make sure people have a deal flow. They can consistently evaluate and pick the best deals for them.
Right. Okay. So if you had advice for someone that's watching this today, that's maybe thinking about getting into investing, where would you advise them to start?
A little self-serving here, but I would tell them to get a coach. I think, you know, if you were going to go fly a plane, you wouldn't just hop into a plane, start the engine, and learn how to fly that plane, right? A lot of people want to get into real estate investing, particularly right now, and there's a lot of opportunities coming on the market. But where does one get started? Listen, education is critical. Your $7 coaching, as you mentioned in the opener, one of the best deals available in the marketplace anywhere. But I would say get educated, right? Get out there and get somebody who can walk you through. My focus is, again, my 5-part series, which I'll say again, is find, figure, fund, fix, and flip your first deal. I would really focus on getting started by getting somebody to kind of help you out and guide your path. It made a huge difference in my life, and I know I can impact others by helping them to do it as well.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the steps there that you just mentioned, Donnie. Find, figure, fund, fix, and flip.
Very good.
Just give us the brief breakdown. If you had some Cliff's notes there on those steps, how would that go?
Sure. Well, we start with find, right? And the strategy I advise my clients to employ is the on-market strategy, just because it's the easiest. You can hop on market. I use a tool called Privy to find my on-market deals. And by using Privy, I'm automatically filtering the market to show me deals that are listed on market that are priced at least somewhat below market to get started, right? From there, you're getting the property under contract, ideally just a little bit below the asking price. And then the real magic, William, is getting that during the inspection process, negotiating it even lower. Quick example of that. I had a client, we had a property listed at $295. We offered $280 for that property, right? Did the inspection, found a whole slew of problems with the property, which was expected. And we negotiated it from $280 down to $238. Well, it was a decent deal at $280 because the property was worth $380 after repaired value, but getting it down to $238 made it a stellar, awesome deal. And that's really a lot of what I teach is getting in there, getting them under contract, and then negotiating an even better deal during the inspection period.
Right. And are you finding, because I know we've just gone through 2 years of absolutely crazy with sellers, FSBOs, people that value. I mean, well, gosh, I mean, you can't blame them. People are offering 50,000 over asking price.
Right.
I mean, when we were in Florida, they had waived, mortgage companies had waived appraisals in Florida. You didn't even have to get an appraisal to buy a house. It's crazy. But are you finding banks are a little bit more motivated, even at this stage in the game, to just be moving those things along?
We are definitely seeing that, but not the level of motivation they're going to get to. You know, the banks learned a lot from the 2008 crisis, and I can tell you that going into this next correction, well, let's not call it crisis, but when we're heading into this next correction, I think the banks could be smarter this time around. So when you're dealing with foreclosures and REOs, the smarter banks should be taking more reasonable offers than the general consumer, just because they're going to be far more interested to offload that inventory before their inventory numbers get too high as things transition to the new market, you know?
Right, for sure. Okay. All right. So finding, you recommend Privy. Now, is it because Privy shows you listed properties? I mean, you know, there's a big, debate out there. I mean, we've used PropStream for years. You're recommending Privy. Is that personal preference, or do you think one's better than the other?
I will tell you, PropStream is a great application, but it's really good at skip tracing, trying to find distressed sellers, going through that process, whereas Privy really is just an on-market searching solution. Imagine a robot that's just scouring the market, looking for stuff that's priced below market. The simplicity of Privy, when I'm dealing with people who are just getting started, is where I got that preference towards it. It's so easy to get it set up and just let it show you listings. You can start that negotiation. And the other good part about Privy takes me to my second F, which is Figure, and that's doing the deal analysis. Obviously, PropStream does that as well, but Privy's algorithm and helping you find comps around those listed properties is just second to none on the ability to quickly find properties and then quickly do a deal analysis on that property so you know which houses to go after and get offers submitted right away.
Right. I got you. Okay. So when you're talking about figuring in all of this, what exactly do you mean there?
Figuring was a cool way to make all of them Fs, because I wanted 5 Fs to foreclosure investing. But really, I'm speaking to deal analysis, right? And in the process of figuring out what the after repaired value of that property is going to be. In the past, I mean, if you've used the MLS, and I'm sure you have, there's a process for going through, putting the distance search in there, the square footage parameters, all that stuff. That takes a good 5 to 10 minutes per property. Privy's literally getting that done in a matter of seconds. So it's already got the algorithm built in, so you quickly see what the comps are. I've just never found a tool, including PropStream, that's quite as effective at helping with that deal analysis, which is so important because speed counts in this phase right now.
Okay. So what I hear you saying, Privy is not so, most of the time I hear Privy thrown out there as a direct competitor to PropStream. It sounds like they're both tools you can use together. That one's not necessarily doing exactly what the other does. It's not like whether you buy Hellman's mayonnaise or Blue Plates. You know, they're both mayonnaise. These things are completely different.
They're similar in a lot of ways. I just think for the PropStream's user interface is just not as friendly, and that's been one of my complaints for years. It's a data tool. It's super powerful. You know, my idea with coaching, William, is just to really make this simple. Somebody getting into the industry right now needs things to be as easy as possible. And I'll just make the argument that Privy's interface is easier to use. It's getting you on market. You can literally start filing offers on your first day. And with my coaching, we're going to be looking at your properties in your neighborhood on day one, and ideally submitting offers on day one, rather than the buildup required on PropStream to kind of find those properties. I think it's just an easier tool to use for those getting started.
I got you. Okay, so now we move to the fund, F. Okay, so what about that? How do you fund these deals?
Yeah, so I work with hard and private money lenders who want to work specifically with my clients to do deals. Given that I've done 300 plus fix and flips in my career and 47 in 1 year, I've now set up relationships with hard money lenders who said, Donny, if you bring us clients, you're going to consult with those clients with them. We're going to give them a lower down payment, a lower interest rate and lower points, right? Because I'm taking some of the risk out of the deal by consulting with the client as they're doing their first deal. This is often critical for people doing their first deal because they usually don't have as much cash available as they would like. So by partnering with me as their coach, they're going to get a better deal on the financing, which just overall is going to save the cost of my coaching fee and reduce the risk for both the lender and the new investor who's getting started doing their first deal.
Right. Okay. So in your opinion, what should somebody, a new person out there, what should they expect to pay for money to do these deals?
So hard money is definitely, it didn't go up like interest rates did on the residential side, right? We expected to see that same increase, but we didn't. Hard money's wandering right now somewhere between 9% on the low end on up to about 12% on the high end, depending on, again, experience, down payment, location, etc. When you partner with a coach like myself, you're going to end up on the early phases of that. You also have to deal with origination. There are companies that are easily charging 3 to 4 points origination to do a deal that when they went through me, they were able to get that down to 1 to 2 points. It's cheaper once again because I'm reducing some of the risk. And I just want to tell you a quick story about that. I had a client who came to me, they'd already located a deal that they were under contract on for $390,000. The lender wanted 20% down because this was their first deal. It worked out to $80,000 in down payment. Now, my client had the money to put down. They were prepared to do so. But when they partnered with me as a coach with my education-based funding, we were able to reduce their down payment down to only $25,000 because it was such a great deal already. When coupled with my experience, they put less money out of pocket and they were able to escrow for the rehab on the property, meaning they had to bring less money to the table total on this deal. You just can't beat the power myself. You're bringing less money. I see myself again. There you are.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
All right, we just had a little hiccup there. No big deal. So you were talking about borrowing the money and
yeah, education-based funding is what I'm calling it. But the essence behind it is when you go to these hard money lenders who are, by the way, are very interested in expanding their client base right now. They know there could be a lot more opportunities coming to the market. Their fear is that the market's not going to be as easy to navigate as it was in 2020 and 2021, right? So they're counting on the fact that people who sign up with a coach like myself are going to get better results, be less risky, and are going to be able to deploy more of their capital by partnering with somebody who's got a lot of experience like me. And that's where the coaching really makes a big difference for people trying to get started.
Sure. Okay. All right. Now we're to the fixed part.
Oh, my favorite. The fixed part is when you are obviously trying to get the property into market-ready condition. A lot of people have been victims of the Chip and Joanna Gaines era, if you will, right? Where they're putting in gold-plated faucets and helicopter landing pads to sell properties, right? You and I already know, William, that it's so important to fix the property to market. So a big part of my coaching is helping to find the contractors, negotiating the bids and things of that nature. But I think my real value add is that I am teaching to fix to what the market requires to sell the property, not our heart's desires to make this the most gorgeous remodel in history, right? That alone, I think, is worth the price of the coaching because everybody wants to over improve their first flip. I help with that and make sure you don't go too far on that process.
Yeah, that's for sure. You see that with investors all the time. They want to put this or that. I mean, you know, there's some, and you learn this. You know, I used to rehab a decent number of properties. We do 3 or 4 full rehabs a year, and they're nice to do. I mean, if you're right there on site, trying to do that long distance is a challenge.
It's tough.
But if you're local, you transform a house that was really ugly into something nice. But you should have a list of the standard items you're putting in a $200,000 house.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can go all granite and this and that, and you can really cost yourself a lot of money.
Yeah, and you're spending money you don't need to spend that's taking
Right.
away from your profitability. You'll get the property sold either way, but
Right.
if you don't do what I love is that people are like, well, what are we going to fix? I go, what we need to focus on is what we're not going to fix, right? And we're going to look at this house from this is fine by comparing it to other comparable sales and matching the fixed level to what's necessary to sell, not what's going to make you feel good to show off to your friends that, hey, I flipped this house. It's an entirely different process,
All right. I got you. Okay. All right. And now flip. Now we get paid.
There you go. Everybody's favorite, right?
Right.
In the flip process, I go into detail about how to market the property for sale. In this market, agents, God bless them, but they're kind of optional today. There are services now where you can list the property as effectively on Zillow for sale by owner and Facebook Marketplace and get the same result as paying 6% to an agent. The reason why people don't want to do it is they get nervous about the contracts, William, right? The different paperwork that's coming in. If you're a layman to that area, then that gets a little nerve-wracking. Well, I was an agent for 15 years, did 1,000 transactions as a real estate agent. So my coaching is going to walk you through selling the property. If listing it with an agent is the best option for your market, we'll explore that. But I can save up to 6% on every deal I do by selling the property on my own without necessarily employing an agent. And I help my clients to do that, which also saves on the cost of the coaching because we're just taking that cost. And instead of paying an agent at the end, you're learning how to do this on your own, which is a big difference.
Do you feel like, I mean, is that your stance on it, that it's better to try to do it yourself than just to get an agent to do it?
It depends on the market, and I think we can really analyze, it's based a lot on price range, et cetera. You can look at days on market. I would tell you, like if you're in New York, a very highly competitive, bustling market, I would tell you probably go the agent route, right? But yeah, I got a client I just picked up in Kentucky. Your average price point's in the $200,000 range. I'm 100% confident that we can market and sell this property on our own because the clientele is just more accessible. It's just a key that you got to market it the same, whether you get an agent or not, right? So when you understand professional photos and Matterport tour and all the stuff that agents have been purporting is their value add for years, you can do a lot of the stuff on your own now and save the money on the agent. That passes on to more profit to you as the flipper and allows you to do more deals profitably.
Right. That's for sure. I know, and it does make sense, I think, depending on the market. I guess I've gotten to the age now where I don't want to do all that stuff anymore, man. So, this wholesale deal we just did, I could have got out there and advertised it. And we have an agreement with our agent that we'll continue to market. And if we bring the buyer, see you. Okay. And he's cool with that. So that's the best of both worlds.
Indeed. And I've arranged that as well. And it really depends on how your agent relationship is in your current market. I'm just, a lot of clients are coming in without those relationships. So I'm encouraging them, if I can save them up to 6% on the deal and we can reasonably get it sold, it justifies my fees and it helps them to get a better profit margin. So they're more apt to do more deals with them.
That's true. Well, I know, Donnie, you're out there in Colorado Springs, and I lived there for a year, man. That is a tough market out there. It has been for sure. How's the median price range out there doing? I know it was bumping 5, wasn't it? 8 months ago.
We came back down. It's about 489 right now, so it's just below 5. But yeah, I mean, shocking that our little town actually got into 530 was what I saw as the high for the median price in Little Colorado Springs, Colorado. But when you got Denver, our neighbor to the north here, pushing 700,000 as average price point, it starts to make sense how we got that high, but we don't have the job market to support that. So it made sense also why it trickled back down a little bit.
I know when I moved there, the house that Jody was in, gosh, I think that thing was valued at around 300, and that was in 2020, the beginning of 2020. And the last time we looked, that house was close to 500,000.
Yes, I'm sure.
I mean, what house appreciates 80% in 3 years?
Crazy, isn't it?
My gosh. I mean, if it continues, and people. There's one realtor we followed out there who said, people, this is going to continue for 5 years.
No way.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. The median price for a home if at this rate, will be close to $1 million.
$1 million.
They can afford that house.
Can't afford it. And that's the reality. Is Colorado Springs affordability really dropped off the map. We're heading the way of the San Diego and New York and LA markets, because it's not as easy to own a home here anymore.
Right.
But I will say that's where the opportunities lie, where the markets are getting, it's no longer cost effective for most people to buy a house. I think those markets are the ones you're most likely to find the really great deals in. You just got to look a little harder and be able to pounce a little faster in these markets.
What do you think about a market like Colorado Springs? Do you think they're going to see a big correction? I mean, what fixes this? What makes it possible to buy a house and profit with it being a rental?
I think what fixes it is time. I think right now we already did see it. I mean, we saw the extent to where I think we're going to correct. We dipped about 15% here on the retail price overall. It's starting to trickle back up a little bit at the moment, but like all markets, William, I think it's just a time consumption thing. I think if we fast forward a year or two from now, Colorado Springs is still not going to be affordable, quote unquote, but it'll be more affordable than it is right now when the job market catches up and interest rates come down a bit.
My goodness. And the forecast for this year, some of the stuff I've seen is, and I know that prime is not directly related to mortgage rates, but they're expecting a 3% increase this year over this year in prime.
Crazy. And I've heard the same. And it's nuts that the federal government, I think so much is political right now. I think you just have a lot of desire to cause a crisis, if that's something, but the government's looking to create a dependency right now. And the best way to do that is to cause a housing crisis and go, hey, look, we caused this problem and now we're helping you to fix it. Right. So that's the cycle we're on now. And we're a heavy military community, so they will correct it before it gets too bad, or they will find a way to supplement it by giving more money to the military guys to buy these houses. So there's a solution on the horizon. We just don't know when it's going to get here.
Right. I got you. Okay. Well, Donny, listen, obviously, I mean, you've got a lot of information here about doing these flips and foreclosure deals. So how does everybody get in touch with you if they want to learn more about your program?
I appreciate that greatly. I have a Facebook group. You can just look for the Foreclosure Deals Coach Facebook group. And that would be a great way to meet up with me and ask some questions if you want to learn more about the coaching. You can also go to www.foreclosuredealscoach.com. And that's a great place to get in touch with me there. And then finally, check out my podcast, the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, anywhere you get your podcast. But Apple is where most of the people download my show. But I would love to hear from your listeners as well, William. I really appreciate you having me on to discuss the foreclosure market. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, man, we appreciate you being here. We always like good information. So we appreciate you sharing with us today. So everybody check this guy out at www.foreclosuredealscoach.com and the podcast by the same name.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Donny. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, William. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Okay, guys, that is it for this episode of the Sub2Deals Show. We hope you enjoyed it. If you like the podcast, we would love a 5-star rating at Apple Podcast. And if you're normally listening to us, I'd like to ask you to go check us out at sub2tv.com. You can see our smiling faces and watch all of our videos. We release a video just about every day. So until the next show, get out there, talk to some sellers, and buy some houses.